Hello everybody, my name is Tracy. This is the 3-Wick Thesis Candle channel, and today I have for you a Chop and Chat, my first ever Chop and Chat episode as a part of my Wax Melt Wednesdays series. I saw my first Chop and Chat over at the Charity Rose channel, and I was like, I could watch someone chop wax all day. And I just thought it was really fun, like a cool way to get to know her more. And so I thought, you know what, I got some wax here that needs some chopping. I got some teddy bees. I have some wax I was gifted both from Charity and from Taylor over at the Candle Coven. I have an L3 order that I have here. So I thought, you know what, let's just do a Chop and Chat and see how it goes. So be sure to let me know if you like this sort of content. I'll do these more often, assuming I keep buying soufflés. I don't know, y'all. I feel like I'm back and forth a little bit on how to buy wax because I want to try a lot. And there's just so much out there, and I feel like if I buy these big pieces all the time, I'll never get through it. So this is something that was gifted to me from Charity. This is from I Heart Wax. I do have an order coming from this vendor. I want to try them for myself. This is Boardwalk Marshmallow Clouds and Coral Waves, and this is like this really cool cotton candy, like cookie vibe. My two favorite colors, along with purple. I love purple too. But it has like little sprinkles in it. It literally looks like a frosted cookie. I do have a soap cutter as well as a bench scraper. I picked this up as a set on Amazon. It was super cheap. And I did practice before I filmed just to see like how is the angle gonna be. So it is dirty. The cutting board's a little bit dirty. That's just because I was just testing how this was gonna film. And hopefully it turns out all right. I'm not sure if the camera is too close. Y'all, we'll find out. It's my first go. This is a little bit of a hard wax compared to some of the other ones that I've cut in the past. And I know that you can stick these like in the microwave and it's supposed to be like good at softening them up before you chop, but I don't want to go back and forth between my microwave and my cutting board. Plus my microwave feels a little bit on the fritz these days. We have it's like a Miele smart oven. And it's not very smart. That's the best way to describe it. It's like a microwave oven combo, and it's also really compact. We have a very small kitchen. It's like a galley style kitchen, so we don't have a lot of room. And the microwave part of it has just been malfunctioning. And I'm like, this oven is not that old. It's only 5 years old, but there's a part of me that's just like, this thing has been kind of a piece of junk. Kind of want something different. I don't know, I thought, you know, small, European, it'll be good, but it's kind of just been a massive hassle. Rose Girls Circus Concession. This is one of Charity's favorites, so I'm glad she sent it to me. I'm actually really excited to give this one a try. I also ordered from Rose Girls recently. Actually, I just bought, y'all, I'm so excited. She had some Halloween, was it the advent calendars left over? It's like 13 days of wax if I remember correctly. And I was like, yeah, I need one of those in my cart. So I just ordered that. It's already shipped. I ordered it last night. Well, for you all, it was like a week ago. And it's already on its way. So I'm going to be having fun with that when I get back from Michigan, which is going to be scheduled to get back here on the 18th. So I'll have just enough time to start that up when I get back. By the way, if you hear what sounds like a car squealing out in the background, that is PB. He is in the background running around with his little mewing. That's what he does. This is from Taylor. This is the Hypnotist Moon. It's a wax tart from the Bathing Garden. Y'all, I hate to even cut this one because it's so cool. It is like a sun moon with a bunch of glitter on it. I also think this glitter is going to get all over the rest of my wax. Maybe I'll wait until I get to Teddy Bees, because Teddy Bees has glitter too. And y'all, I'm not a fan of glitter. I don't know. I'm sure some people really like it, but for me, it's just messy. It gets so messy, and I just feel like I don't want to have to clean that out. I don't need it. Wax looks pretty without glitter, but a lot of vendors put that in there. Alright, I'm going to do some L3. This is some that I bought for myself. This was my first and so far only haul from L3. I think in general, and I'm just being, you know, kind of picky about things. I don't like the scent notes don't have commas, so you can't tell what the scent notes actually are. The owner reached out to me and she asked me, you know, like, what are your issues? And let me see if we can troubleshoot. She did say these are like old labels and she's working on getting them changed out so that they have proper like punctuation so you can tell what you're getting. But as a reviewer, right, if I'm trying to read this, like, is it pink sugar and vanilla patchouli? Is it pink sugar vanilla? Is it vanilla patchouli? Is it vanilla patchouli toasted? Is it toasted mallow? You can't tell what you're getting, and so it becomes really, it's just frustrating. So I have only put in one order also because I feel like her scents felt a little bit, I think conceptual is the right way to word it. I didn't necessarily feel like I was smelling what I was expecting, and I felt like it's pretty light on cold. But then again, I am new to the wax world and also discovering that I know very little about curing and the fact that you're supposed to like store some of this wax for a year, y'all, just so it can have some scent. And I'm like, who has the space for that? I'm gonna keep some of these a little bit bigger. Who has the space for that? This one smells good though. Who has the patience for that? I think coming from such a strong candle world background, the idea of not being able to just, you know, get your package in the mail and just fire it up and be able to try it out if you want to, it just requires a shift in thinking that I'm ready for to some extent. I really don't have that kind of storage space. It's more just, I wasn't really expecting it. It wasn't something that I was anticipating having to do. So I am letting this stuff cure. That's why you'll notice I do have the date. I wrote the date that I ordered it on here. I don't know if this is the pour date, but that's the date it arrived. And that way I know, you know, it's not ready yet. Okay, I have another one. This one is one of, is it like a shape or something? This is pumpkin firewood roasted coffee, and today is October 3rd. Now I hadn't tried the today is October 3rd blend before, and oh look at it's a little froggy. Oh, I hate to even cut this thing. Taylor sent me a sample of it actually after I had ordered this, so I get to try it by itself as well as trying it in this blend. I'm gonna chop some of these up a little bit more. So excited to give that one a try. I know that's like one of the fan favorite scents from L3. And yeah, I think those are all good shapes. You know, that's the other thing I'm trying to figure out as a newbie, like how much wax do I need? And then each vendor is different, and then some of them work in some of my melters and not others. And I'm like, what? It's so much. And I'm already feeling like I'm a bit new to like the candle world and learning and growing in that sphere as well. I'm enjoying it, but sometimes it feels like, yeah, you kind of took on a lot with trying to do both. But it's a good problem to have, I think. This is some also that Charity sent to me. I put a spell on you. This is like half a loaf. Wow, that's a lot. That's so kind. Oh, I like this one too. I'm gonna break this out because I'm sure Charity had this for a while. I'll break this out for my October melting basket. Now her wax is actually a lot harder than some of the other vendors I've used. I don't know if I prefer that. You can hear how hard I'm pressing when it finally breaks. Like I literally feel like I'm gonna break this handle on this thing. So that's not ideal for me either. I want it to be a little bit softer. Okay, so these videos usually have some sort of like life update, you know, what's happening. Just got back from Disneyland. The hubs and I were there. We went to Oogie Boogie. And we also were celebrating our 26th wedding anniversary and our 30th dating anniversary. Yes, 30th. Y'all, we started dating, if you can even call it that. We were friends who, you know, were attracted to each other, basically. We were hanging out a lot as sophomores in high school. And then, I don't know, around the time we were getting ready to graduate, you know, you get ready to go off to college, and for both of us, we were first-gen college students. Neither of our parents went to college, and I think we were both a little bit scared to like go off to school and live in the dorms, and we wanted to live together, which growing up in the Midwest and having conservative parents, that was like, you know, I was gonna go to hell. That was kind of what was implied. Oh, look, Charity sent me today is October 3rd too. Awesome, so I have more of this. That's good. I really like the scent. I already melted it from Taylor and was sad that it was gone already, so thank you, Charity. Love this. So we stayed at home the first year of college and went to community college. We stayed dating. We were working full-time, saving up money because we knew we wanted to live together. We hadn't figured out how we were going to do that exactly and get, like, you know, parental approval, which at the time, being 19, it mattered to me. Now I'm like, I gotta live my own life, leave me alone. But at the age of 19, I was scared they were gonna like disown me or something, which they wouldn't have, but that was the fear. So I don't know, my mom was like, I don't want you living with him unless you marry him. And then his dad was like, well, if you're man enough to live with her, you're man enough to marry her. And Jason and I were at the mall with my mom, and we walked past, I think it was like Kay's Jeweler or something like that. And I just said, why don't we just get married? And he was like, really? I was like, yeah, I mean, like, who cares? Do you care? And he's like, no. And I said, are you okay with getting divorced if it doesn't work out? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. I was like, well, then let's just get married. Like, let's just get married and then we can live together and our parents will leave us alone. And that's how we got engaged. 18-year-olds wanting to live together, not wanting to go to hell, and, you know, not wanting to disappoint the parents. And then, of course, the parents were like, well, we didn't actually mean. And I'm like, well, you said. This one's one I picked up, Cranberry Palo Santo Sugar Cookie Royale. So I always joke now, I'm not religious. I'm actually a backslider, meaning I used to be a part of the church and I'm not anymore. For a multitude of reasons I don't want to get into, but I always say that when you ask for things, regardless of whether or not you believe in a God or universal powers, when you ask for things or when you make demands of things, the universe delivers sometimes in the shortest path possible. And so when my parents told me not to live with my boyfriend unless I was married, I was like, all right, we'll just get married then. And I don't think that's what they were expecting. I think they thought if we tell them that, they'll just stay living with us, not leave the nest, and not live together. They're definitely not going to get married. They're too young. And then we were like, we're just going to get married. So the universe delivered. My parents got their wish. And I got to live with my best friend, who just happened to be a boy that I thought was cute. And here we are, 30 years later, still loving each other and spending time together and enjoying each other's company. And especially, might I add, when in Disneyland. This one is huge. I may have overbought, but it does smell really good. Roasted pine cones, sugar cookie royale, and vanilla buttercream. This is one of her loaves. I want to say this was one of the discount loaves, but y'all, I'm not sure. I'm only gonna cut up like a third of this, maybe a half, because it will take me literally forever to use this loaf. Maybe I'll do half. So I'm just gonna put half of it back in the bag. Although, yeah, I'll put it in the bottom. So our trip went really well. We had like perfect weather. It got up to, I don't know, 80 degrees each day, which is still a little bit warm, but with this time of the year and it getting darker earlier, it was manageable. It's also Halloween time right now at Disneyland, and so they had all their fun Halloween decor out. They had really good Halloween food. Wow, we tried a lot of it too. I think my favorite was they had a caramel apple cold brew. And I don't know if they're trying to like mimic, there's that one brand, and Charity, you love it, I can't remember what it's called. It's like an energy drink that's caramel apple. I don't know if that's like what they were going for, but it was delicious. And it came with like a caramel covered apple sucker in it, which normally I don't like those. But for some reason, it was hitting the spot while I was walking around the park. So that was my favorite Halloween food slash beverage item. The Hubs was really enjoying. They have an ube soft serve ice cream that they bring out over in Carsland every October. And by the way, I know some of you are cringing at the fact that I'm putting like, wax chunks that are mixed together. It's just my style, okay? We all do things differently. I don't care about this little bit. Y'all, I have so much wax already that I'm good, okay? Not a big deal. So he was really enjoying the ube ice cream. I found it to be a bit too sweet for my blood. It was good, but I could eat about half of the serving and then I felt kind of nauseous. So this was also gifted to me from charity. It's Hey Hey Hey, a banana split blend. And this banana is actually pretty nice. I have another one of her bananas over here that I'm going to cut up that's more runty. I don't like it as much. I like this one better. I'll do that one next just so you know the name of it. I love the blue color of this too. Yeah, so before we left for our trip, I always like to go into the app and just take a look at like what's the current hotel room rate and has it gone down? Is there like a new, Magic Key discount because we're Magic Key holders? And when I looked in the app, I saw that it was actually cheaper for us to upgrade to a better room because we stay at the Grand Californian. Yes, I spend big money when I go because it's a special occasion to me. I'm celebrating 30 years, I will pay the money. And so we upgraded for less money to get into what they were labeling a partial view room. And when I made the change, it said it could be a partial view of either downtown or it would be of the park. And I was really hoping for the park because it's Halloween and I was like, ooh, can you imagine if we can see Villains Grove from our room? But honestly, I think those rooms are all their vacation club rooms. So that was probably never going to happen. But we ended up with a partial view of downtown. And they said it was partial, but y'all, it was a really good view. I mean, we were blocked a little bit by a suite. There was a suite to the right of us. But otherwise, it was like the perfect view of downtown. Really fun to just like hear the hustle and bustle and everybody walking around taking pictures. So this is the other one that has banana in it. It's peanut butter marshmallow pie crust, and these are her pie tarts. And they have the pie symbol plus in the shape of a pie, which is pretty cute. I'm gonna cut this one in half too and save half of it for another time. So we were happy with the view. It was fun to, sit on the balcony and people watch, and the trams are a little bit noisy. They honk at each other a lot, so that was a little bit annoying. But in general, I would definitely stay in a room like that again. It was really funny. The Ducks played on the Saturday that we were there. And I'm not usually that type of person, but y'all, we were playing Penn State, and it's basically like our best game of the season because the other teams we're playing are not really stellar performers. No offense if we're playing you in the future, but it was like the only ranked team at the time in our lineup. So Hubs and I were both walking around the park with an earbud in, listening to the game on Hulu, paying attention and kind of trying to still have fun in the park at the same time. But then we went into overtime, and I think I wanted to go get my hoodie or something, so we went back to the room and ended up just sitting on the patio as the game wrapped up because we couldn't focus on anything else. It was such a good game. We went into overtime. Each side scored, and then we ended up going into double overtime. Thought it was over. This one I got for the Hubs. Fruit Loops, key lime pie, and orange chiffon cake. And I love the little shapes. It's a little piggy. Maybe that's a hippo. Can't tell. Went into double overtime. We got to have possession first because they had possession first in the first overtime. And we... Oh, I'm using the wrong cutter. I'm like, why is it so difficult? And we lost the ball. The other team, Penn State, intercepted, and I was like, you know what? This game's over. Like, this is so sad. I wanted us to have a chance at the championship and, postseason. And very first throw Penn State put out in double overtime. we intercepted, which is an automatic win. And the hubs and I were like, this is the best football game ever. We are sitting in the patio, downtown Disney, staying at the Grand Californian. Got Disney vibes. It's our anniversary. The Ducks just won what's going to be the most challenging game of the regular season. It was awesome. And poor Penn State, by the way, if you're a fan of Penn State, I feel bad for you. They played UCLA this weekend and lost, which, if you don't watch college ball, you don't understand what I'm saying. But college ball, UCLA is not, you know, they're not known for having a good football team. So if your team loses to them and you were ranked, they were ranked, I think, 3rd going into the game against us. They're not ranked anymore, y'all. They lost against us and then lost against UCLA, and now they're not ranked. It's sad. So I feel for you if you are a Penn State fan, but also happy that we won. Okay, I've got a couple of these little bunts that I want to cut into 4s. This is Patchouli Rain, Rainstorm, Boardwalk, Mallow, Clouds. You see, I can't read it. I don't know what this actually is. This is one I picked up. I forgot to date it, so I'm going to have to remember to do that before I move on. So yeah, got back from Disney feeling a little hungover, always feel a little bit depressed. I feel like you get a lot of, you know, endorphins and just you get immersed. That's one of the reasons I like staying in the park, is you really can just get lost in the Disney universe and lose track of the outside world, and that's just really good for me in the hubs sometimes, especially because we get to eat good food and spend time together. Still ended up having to do a little bit of work, answering emails and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was a really good trip. So I am currently in Michigan. I mean, I'm chopping right now in California, but when you're watching this, I am in Michigan, about to wrap up my trip home with the stepdad. If you are new to my channel, my mom passed away in June. She had a very long battle with Alzheimer's. My stepdad was her caretaker. I'm going to start on my teddy bees now. This is the Scent of Sunday. Fresh picked oranges, black tea buds, lemongrass, lavender, jasmine, violet blossoms, dried rose, and cedar. I love this one, y'all. He took care of her at home. She died at home. She died with my sister and I holding her hand. I mean, just, I think it's exactly how she would have wanted to go out. She got a chance to say goodbye to my brother. My brother couldn't be there at the time of her passing, but he got to see her shortly before she passed. And then my other sister has dementia herself, so she couldn't be there either, of course. She's not doing well. It hasn't been for years. She has a different type of dementia, though. She has FTD, which is frontal temporal dementia. My mom had Alzheimer's. So my stepdad, you know, he's kind of just adjusting to his life being his own again and being able to mow the yard without worrying about my mom hopping in a car and thinking she's going to go see her parents who have been dead for 30 years. And he doesn't have to worry about cleaning up her messes and, you know, whether or not she's going to do something that's unsafe. And I think, you know, he's finding enough stuff to put on his to-do list that I think he's healthy and he's doing well. But he's also trying to move on. This is Simply Christmas, the smell of Christmas furs with the slightest hint of candy canes. And moving on to him is, you know, he's decided he wants to kind of close off the upstairs of the house where they had their bedroom together. He wants to save on heating, and he wants to move his bedroom downstairs, which is where her office was. She had an office and it's kind of like a she den. She had quilting supplies and photography supplies. If you've watched my memorial video, you know she was just a stellar artist and photographer and quilter. Actually, this tattoo is one of her quilts she made me. It's an Amish quilt pattern. This smells so good, y'all. Very, very Christmassy and pepperminty. Also, Teddy Beeswax is much more oily and softer than L3, just in terms of texture. It feels a lot different. So I'm at home trying to help him clean up the office space a little bit more, get a lot of her quilting stuff moved out of that space. Luckily, he has a niece who is just getting into quilting. She's a little bit older than I am and wants to take a lot of my mom's quilting supplies. So I was like, heck yeah, let her have it. She's family. My mom liked her. Let her take this stuff and make something out of it. This is blackberries plus cashmere cake. It's juicy blackberries, sweet birthday cake, and cashmere cream. So we have hauled out, I think it's like 5 or 6 boxes of fabric squares. He's hauled out 2 huge like trash bags of it. We've got a couple of crates we had in there. She had a lot of fabric, y'all, and a lot of quilting books. Oh my gosh, so many quilting books. And I don't know, when you have to go through your parents' stuff when they pass, it's like it makes you self-reflect a lot on the stuff you save and like, what will people say about my candle collection? What will people say about my wax collection? And why does she have all of this? And what was she gonna do with all of it? And you know, some of the same questions I'm kind of asking myself about my mom's stuff. And I just kind of have to remind myself of like, you know, we all have our hobbies. We all have our passions. We don't have to understand each other to the extent of like, you know, maybe I don't get your passion, maybe you don't get mine, but I can understand that we're all human and we have this need to have a collection of things we love. So while it's a lot of work to go through that room and clean it all out and get rid of the stuff that she had, I also feel like it's, you know, building empathy for me and also self-reflection. This one's Fairy Tales plus Lemons. Got this for the hubs. It's pomegranate nectar, fresh orange blossom, vanilla, warm amber, sugared lemon zest, and a hint of Palo Santo. So yeah, it's definitely had me thinking. And my stepdad, you know, he's like, oh, well, I don't hoard like this. I'm like, dude, you got a whole garage out there full of stuff no one's gonna understand. So I you know, I think he's processing too, and probably self-reflecting and maybe trying to be a little bit defensive of his own practices. But we've got most of the quilting stuff cleaned out. She has a ton of genealogy stuff in there that she spent years of her life on. And, you know, I don't know how much I understand of it. A lot of it is just random notes. You know, trails that she went down that didn't result in finding any connections. So I hate to get rid of that stuff, but I also, it's like I just don't know what to do with it all. This one is Stay Spooky. It's sweet cream, pumpkin pie spices, warm pie crust, Palo Santo, and hints of smoky bonfire embers. This is coming out for the October rotation, y'all. So my stepdad was talking to me right before I left for the trip, and he's like, oh, well, the yard needs to be mowed. I'm like, you know me so well. Like, you know, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to when I get home. But he's doing pretty well. I think he's lonely. You know, I feel like he seems lonely. I feel like he's kind of trying to find a new groove. He's made a couple comments about like, you know, it's weird for him to be able to go out with the guys and get a beer and not have to have my mom get mad at him or, you know, want him home at a certain time. And I'm sure that that is both liberating, but also a little bit depressing and sad. And my mom was very, I mean, I think you can say possessive. She always wanted you by her side. She wanted to know where you were going, when you were going to be back. And I know it's because she cared. But it also could feel a bit smothering sometimes. This is Magical Marshmallow Moon. Creamy vanilla, brown sugar, jasmine, apricot flesh, matcha, sandalwood, vanilla praline, tonka bean, hint of coconut, vanilla cotton candy, and pink marshmallow. Wow, that's a lot of scent notes, y'all. I got all of these in a pre-order, and then she did a ready to ship, which, you know, I filled my cart. Speaking of which, I was actually mowing the lawn when that one went live. Filled my cart and was like, no, you need to slow down. Try these out first. There will be more wax. You know, don't stress. Semester's going okay. I feel like I struggle more and more with my students not wanting to, what's the best way to word it? I feel like they don't want things to be hard. And that's true of all of us, right? None of us want to have hard lives or have to struggle. But like, you know, they don't want to have to take the time to read instructions. And so they just rush through an assignment, perform poorly on it because they couldn't read the prompt, you know, take 5 minutes to read the prompt. And then they want to make it up. And I'm like, well, that's just, you know, on the one hand, maybe this is a part of the lesson. I let you make it up and you realize you should have done that to begin with. But on the other hand, I'm like, no, but you gotta have some growing pains when you learn, right? You gotta slow down, be uncomfortable, sit with that. And the AI use, y'all, out of control. My students use so much AI. It's seriously so depressing. This feels like home. It's sugared pears, vanilla syrup, toasted marshmallow, warm spices, soft baked sugar cookies, and Earl Grey tea leaves. This is one I tried already. And I wanted to try her wax because she did, it was a fall pre-order. And I was like, let's just see how it does. It performed well. Even not being, you know, well cured, it performed well in my Himalayan salt warmer. So I did put another pre-order in for her fall wax. But yeah, the AI stuff, y'all, it's like soul crushing at this point for me. And I don't even care if you want to use AI. I'm not altogether anti-AI. Like, I use it, I ask it questions about my channel. I have it come up with, you know, help me brainstorm kind of cheesy or punny names for things like Best in Glow, right? My different series. The problem is that a lot of my students use it without critical thought. So it will spit out an answer, even sometimes with like fill in the blanks. It will literally be like, insert your name here. And my students can't be bothered to recognize that they have to insert their name there. And instead I get a post that's like, literally just says, insert your name. So, you know, it's just disheartening. I ask them questions like, what's your name? Tell me a fun fact about yourself and what your major is. And they still want to use AI to answer those questions. And I'm like, but I want to get to know you. I don't want to get to know AI. And what AI has learned about you. Okay, this is Rain and Woods. It's crunchy leaves, wet flowers, clove, balsam, patchouli, and sandalwood. This is delicious. Very outdoorsy, a little bit aquatic, piney. And there's a lot of my colleagues who, you know, I'm big into distance education. We call it DE. And I love online learning and teaching. I really like creating websites and graphics and creating content, obviously. That's what I'm here doing. I like to make videos and, you know, do the captioning and all that kind of stuff for students. And there's a lot of talk of like, oh, well, we just need to bring everything back in person because AI is harder to use in person. I'm like, y'all, it's not. You can be sitting in a lecture with your phone out or your computer out and be asking AI questions in the same way that you can in an online course. You know, you can ask AI to summarize the reading when you get home. It's really not going to stop the use of AI and or AI cheating in classrooms. We can't put the genie back in the bottle is what I'm trying to say. We have to learn to adapt. And how do we motivate students in this age, right? They have short TikToks they can watch. They can pretty much Google anything they want. They have YouTube videos to teach them anything they want to learn. What's going to motivate them to come and sit in a boring classroom with sterile lighting at hours of the day where they don't even want to be awake? I don't know. Sometimes I'm worried about the state of higher ed. I think it's in crisis, and I think the people in power who are running it are asleep at the wheel. Now, does that mean I think we should defund it? No. But I do think that, at least in my experience, administrators might not fully understand what's happening in their students' lives, and certainly not in their professors' lives. I can tell you I rarely feel understood by my administrators. One, because they're in a completely different class level than me. They make a lot more money, but also because I just don't think they understand the struggles that we're all going through. All right, there's that one. Now I am down to just a couple more here. Realizing I have a couple more L3 that I missed This one is Rhubarb and Rose. I think this is one Charity gave me. So I'm actually teaching, gosh, how many classes do I have this semester? 7? 7 classes right now, which is low for me. The most I've ever taught in a semester was 12, and that was while I was dissertating, which is just bonkers. But I'm an adjunct. That means I do not have permanent employment. I could lose my job any semester if they don't have classes, or if someone who's tenured line and permanent loses their class, they can take mine, and I'm out of work. So all of that combined is making me really want to do drastic things, like quit my job and open a wax shop. Talking with the hubs, and I'm like, why don't we just open, you've always wanted a coffee shop, you love plants, why don't we go somewhere affordable and open a coffee shop plant store that sells wax melts and live an entrepreneurship life? Because university teaching y'all as an adjunct, you hustle so hard, you teach so many classes in hopes that a campus will ask you next semester to work so that you can pay your bills. And if I hustled this hard as an entrepreneur, I think I'd be extremely successful. I don't know if I'd make as much money, probably not, but would I be dealing with AI papers all day that I have to read? No. Would I have administrators who tell me what to do when I don't think they understand? Nope. So there's a big part of me that's like feeling the itch to get out of here and do something different. Just having a passion for wax and feeling like I want to, I want to do something else. Rhubarb, Vanilla, Sandalwood. These are her tarts, L3. I'm just going to chop these into 4, I think. Probably could do a couple in 6. And the hubs and I have like literally talked about opening a coffee shop for about as long as I can remember. He used to be a barista. He worked for Pete's Coffee and Tea for, I don't know, what, 5-6 years probably. Kind of on and off while we were in school. He loves it. He loves making coffee. He is obsessed with espresso about the same way that I am obsessed with wax. He can tell you, information about its origin, what the different tasting notes are, whether or not it's dried in a bed or washed, dried naturally. I don't know the difference, y'all, but he does, and he loves that kind of stuff. So I'm just feeling like I may need a change soon. And with my mom dying and just kind of realizing like life is short and you got to kind of do what you love within your means. And if you have a passion, I'm not getting younger, right? I am going to be retiring in like 20 years. If I'm going to do something different, I should probably think about it now. This one's orange, Satsuma, ice lemon Danish. I don't know about this one. The hubs likes it. It's a bit tangy. I was hoping to be a little bit more gourmand. But we're going to do it. These are the bunts. But there's always a risk, right? I was talking to my stepdad and he's like, well, you got to wait until you at least have, enough to retire with CalSTRS. That's the California Teaching Association retirement plan. I think I have 5 more years until I'm like, you can retire or whatever. Because I think you have to put in 20 years. And he's like, you need to just, work for 5 more years, retire. You won't make much because you'd be retiring really early in the system, but at least then you'd have some backup cash and then you can do what you want, open your business. And I thought, you know what? You're sounding real rational right now. And I'm not feeling very rational. So he has a point. He gives great advice. I've always respected his advice, even as a teenager. I didn't always like hearing it, but I always had respect for it. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do anything drastic, but I'm also just, the wheels are really churning, y'all. And I think too, I'm not going to speak to any specific vendor, but I think it's kind of dipping my toes into vendor wax and just seeing like sometimes the lack of organization a vendor has, or like, you get a shipment and you ordered 8 of something and you only get 7 or you get 6 and then the refunds don't come fast or whatever, right? labels don't have commas, that sort of thing. And I'm like, I want to do it. I want to do it better. I want to have strong wax. I want to play. I want to formulate. I want to, I don't know. I want to do the hustle I do at my work right now, but do it with wax. This one, y'all, I can't remember if this was gifted to me or not. I don't think I bought this one. I think this is from charity because I don't double bag. Sea kelp, driftwood sea moss, and leaves. Camp Crystal Lake. I don't know if she double bagged it because this one is really strong. Oh, it's strong. Yeah, that's probably why. That's pretty though. And look at those little ghosty faces. Yeah, so anyways, just something I've been pondering. I also always kind of, you know, people have asked me, you know, why did you start your YouTube channel and how'd you get into wax? And I love creating content. It's one of the reasons I like teaching online. And I've always kind of thought like, well, you know, if I end up not wanting to teach, maybe my YouTube creation and video production and editing skills, maybe someone will see that and be like, would you like a job here? And I could say yes. Let me work remote. Let me sit at a computer. I could edit videos literally all day, y'all. I love it. I'm one of those weirdos. And I'm finding that you either love to edit or you don't. And I love to edit. And I know some of you have commented like, oh, your videos are really professional and I appreciate it. It's like, yeah, it's what I have fun with it. I enjoy editing and putting the cuts in and the fades and changing the audio, and that's just, I live for it. It's monotonous, but I really enjoy it. So if I could get a career where I did that all day instead of grading AI papers, yes, please. I mean, there's also some fear for me around like what I teach. Also, I teach sociology, which the whole discipline is about understanding the way social forces influence your behavior. And there are people who don't want to hear about that. They don't want to learn about it. They want to silence us. This one's Raspberry Rainbow Orange Groves. And I worry that sociology courses won't be offered anymore. You know, because we teach things about like, you know, the social construction of gender and sexuality and, you know, what does it mean when your culture says one thing, but people feel differently or act differently, and you know, how much of your world is made up by what you've learned in your social groups. And I think we tend to think of like the world as it is and not as it's constructed. And I fear that people like me who like to think outside the box and just pose questions, you know? Like I remember being a kid and I asked my stepdad, how do you know that the color blue you see is the same color blue I see? And he's like, well, because we see the same color. If we were to, you know, have a lineup and someone were to say which one's blue, we'd both pick the same one. I was like, yeah, I know, but you'd only pick that because you've been taught that's what blue is. We don't actually know if we're seeing the exact same color. We just both know that we've been taught that that color is blue. And he kind of, you know, looked at me like I was real weird. I got that look a lot, by the way, as a kid. It's just, it's questions like that. I have a curious mind. I have weird thoughts. I think about the world and all the different ways it could be, not necessarily how it is or that it's really rigid. And I don't think people always like that. They get comfortable with the way the world is, or the way their belief systems or value systems tell it is. This is vanilla patchouli pumpkin pecan waffles vanilla sugar waffle cone. And this is my last, yeah, this is my last piece from L3, and then I've got just a couple of the one-offs here that were glittery. So more and more I'm just like, I gotta have a backup plan, right? I gotta have something else in mind if, for example, the current administration decides to cut funding to higher ed. Adjuncts will be the first people to go. Social science programs will be the first to go, right? Nobody's gonna cut engineering. But a class that teaches you to think critical of social power structures, yeah, that class is going to get axed. Like, that one's not going to be one that sticks around. So there's also some fear there around, like, you know, will I have a job in 5 years? And what's going to happen to my discipline? And the research that I've done, right? My research, I actually looked at teen suicide and examined how social forces make it more likely for, I focused on wealthy teens, for wealthy teens to die by suicide, and in particular in the Bay Area, Palo Alto. It's just sad, you know, that you care so much about the way social powers work and influence behavior, and I just feel like more and more people just don't want to hear it. Right? Even the parents of Palo Alto, there was we call them cluster suicides in the research world, happening on the Caltrain tracks here in Palo Alto. And the parents are all concerned, what can we do, what can we do? And researchers tell them, well, lower your educational expectations. Let your kids have free time. Get them out of so many extracurriculars. Stop asking them to have straight A's in all their classes and take 5 AP courses. Parents don't want to hear that, right? They want to hear that there's a drug they can put their kid on and that it's an individual level problem that can easily be solved, not a structural issue that's at the root of the problem. So it feels exhausting sometimes trying to teach people about sociology. So this is the one I already introduced with the glitter. This wax is pretty hard too. But, you know, I have a passion for sociology. I just feel like maybe I'm outgrowing it a bit. I think that's the best way to word it. And I'm just worried about, you know, job security. And the Hubs is also really interested in like institutional research. He wants to crunch numbers, which I don't understand, but he loves it. So, you know, he's looking for a job in that area as well. So possible changes coming down the line. Good changes, I hope. We'll see. All right, I got one more and then we will wrap up. This is also from Taylor at Candle Coven. This is Silky Scents Haunted Hayrides. Cute little headstone, so cute. It says here lies, but too big. I'm going to cut this in thirds, I think. I want to make sure that I get more use out of this wax. Maybe I'll do these once more. Just in case it's strong, you know, I don't want to waste it with big, huge chunks. All right, y'all. That is the conclusion of my first Chop and Chat. Oh, PV is saying goodbye to you in the background. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these vendors or my very new experiences to the wax world. Again, I don't claim to be a pro. I am learning with some of y'all who are also just now getting into wax. Really liking some of the stuff I'm exploring. Learning all sorts of stuff about, you know, warmers and lamps and crocks, and I do have a video out on that. I can link it below, and I'll also toss a card up here for you in the corner if you want to click that. But ask any questions you have. I'm more than willing to address what I can. If you want to see more Chop and Chats, well, first of all, I gotta order more loaves, but give me a thumbs up and that'll let me know that you enjoyed this video. If you want to make any comments about my life dialoguing, that's always welcome as well. And I will see you all in my Weekend Deals episode tomorrow. I can't wait to share with you what's new and what's on sale and where I'm going to be spending my money this weekend. I'll talk to you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.